Hello YouTube. So this is going to be a practical demonstration of how the Koyomo Ototsuho and Koyomo Sokoho apply blush differently. I'm using the two blush brushes because I feel like that's my favorite brush. It's the most practical size and I really love it. And I'm going to be doing this like get ready with me style, so I'm going to be applying the rest of my makeup as well, but the focus will be on these two brushes and how they apply blush differently. So I've done a Koyomo hair video previously, and you can go watch that for more information about the differences between Ototsuho grade, Sokoho grade, and Sokoho grade. So if you're interested in all three grades, go watch that. But the most interest has been between the Ototsuho grade versus the Sokoho grade. So I decided to do this video to kind of give people an idea of what the differences are, practically speaking, and how they apply makeup differently. So I'm just going to do my base really quickly with my Clarisonic because that honestly is my fastest foundation brush. And then get on to applying the rest of my face makeup and blush. So with the Koyomo brushes, if you don't know already, the hair is old stock or vintage. It was collected back in the 70s. And it's just kind of been stored until now. And the hair from back then is just better in almost every way. It's sleeker, thicker at the body, and has a stronger tip. And they just feel extremely smooth and different compared to more recently made brushes. They're not as outrageously expensive as you might believe, but the thing is, going between the Ototsuho handles and the Sokoho handles, there's quite a big price jump because of the workmanship that goes into the handles. And if you're curious about that, you can go watch my Koyomo video for more. I'm pretty sure it's the video 2 before this. I'll try to remember to link in the description below. And I'll be back later this afternoon with a video on white Canadian squirrel hair. I didn't realize until after I took the survey that, oh, I only really have one Canadian squirrel hair that I can speak to, or white Canadian squirrel hair that I can speak to in comparison to regular Canadian squirrel hair. And I didn't even keep a regular Canadian squirrel hair brush either to compare to. So that one was destashed a while ago, but I realized, oh, that was probably a mistake. But what I can do is show you the differences between Ototsuho Koyomo and Sokoho Koyomo. So we're going to do that. This is the Koyomo Suki. Oh, yes, this is the Suki brush. This is made of Sokoho Koyomo, so a grade higher, the highest. And then if you've seen Saibikoho floating around before, Koyomo Sokoho is about as close you can get to Saibikoho, and this brush is always available. Compared to Saibikoho, it's more of a limited edition thing. So I'm going to just use this to bronze up my face really quickly and just kind of mattify things just a little bit. You can see it's kind of, the powder kind of blurs. And then it's a pretty big brush. And I dry this without a brush guard so it fluffs up to this big. Compared to the Hakuhodo J104, this is much less dense. For example, if I'm doing all of this with the J104, it would have the chance of wiping away foundation, but with this one, it's almost like a finishing brush, but a touch bit more firm, so it's good for setting as well as finishing powder. And I was using that with pressed meteorites, so even though it's very soft, it picks up pressed powder well with just a couple swirls. Feels really pleasant on the face. Alright, let's get down to our bread and butter. I'm going to use the Ototsuho first on my right side and then the Sokoho second on my left side. So I'm going to be using it with the Hourglass blushes. So I picked this baked formula on purpose because of, well, baked formulas tend to be the hardest to pick up with different types of brushes. So this is kind of just to show that it's really good at picking up pigment. and picks it up really easily, as well as blends and deposits it really easily. So what I did here was I swirled in the pan, and then I kind of swirled on the back of my hand to redistribute the excess. Now I'm just kind of tapping like this and swirling at the same time to blend. And because of this complete rounded edge, it blends super easily. So even though it looks like I'm swiping, I'm pressing and then doing like a C motion like that. I'm just doing it very, very quickly. Build it up toward here. Okay, so that's Ototsuho. Sorry, and we're going to go in with Sokoho. So this is the Nadeshiko pink pearl. Yes, the Nadeshiko refers to the straight handle, and the pink pearl refers to the coloration. It's sort of, well, pearlized and pink. And then this is the Hana handle, the bulb tulip-shaped handle. And they have a lot of variations on this, like every conceivable sort of color and wood you might ever want. And then the lacquer, this particular lacquer is Izunuri lacquer. So this is the most expensive of the Sokoho options. And it was the original. When I bought this, the other ones, the cheaper ones, weren't available yet. So as you can see with the blush going on, there really is no difference. Feeling-wise, there's a little bit of a difference. So I'll press the other one to my cheek really quickly in a second. Really, when it comes down between Ototsuho and Sokoho, it depends on like which handle you like and how much softness you want. So softness, in terms of the tips, they're both very soft, no irritation whatsoever. Where the difference is how flexible they are. That softness is where you see the main difference. So I'm pressing with about the same amount of pressure throughout each hand. So I'm holding it at the same place. So I have the same sort of lever moment arm. And I'm pressing about the same. So as you can see, the Sokoho spreads out a little bit more than the Ototsuho. And if I'm pressing it on my cheeks, you can see where this one really flattens out and this one kind of keeps its shape better. It's more resilient. And it also puts a little bit more, translates a little bit more pressure onto my cheek as a result. So if you like a firm feeling brush, the Ototsuho would probably be better. It gives you the feeling of density without potentially overdoing your makeup. For example, this brush, the Tom Ford cheek brush, is very firm and kind of can overdo your blush a bit. But I do really love that like firm, plush, puff feeling. So if you like that, you'll like the Ototsuho brush. If you like a more like delicate, wispy brush, you'll appreciate the Sokoho more. I personally love both. If I had to pick one, like God forbid, everything burned, and I had to pick one, I would go with the Ototsuho simply because it is the budget option, but I would eventually get the Sokoho again. So both are like a really lovely, lovely medium size, and they're both great. It just depends on how much you want to splurge out for them. To answer your question, yes, I did get both of them from CD Japan. And with these brushes, I wouldn't quite say they're firm enough to do cream. Most cream blushes, liquid blushes, this one absolutely. This one, a little bit more iffy, but Ototsuho one can definitely do cream blushes if they're more of that like slippy silicone feeling formula. Like the ones that are like the hot poured in the pan and it really takes a finger to pick it up and like apply and distribute it. This brush wouldn't work so well for. But if you've seen my videos, I like to use this moussey blush real well. It's a cream to powder, and this brush would work well with that. So that's the video. You can stop watching here, or you can keep watching as I do the rest of my makeup. And ask questions if you want. I don't have the Sokoho, what's it called? I don't have the Sokoho cheek brush. I didn't feel like it was necessary. The Sokoho one is soft enough for me. Oh, sorry. How rude of me. This is a Chikuhodo F03. I was testing it as a eyeshadow brush. This week I'm using it as a contour brush to see how much I like it. It's this sort of bigger eye brush. And I tend to use bigger eye brushes as face brushes as well, like I'm doing my contour fit right now. So I'm trying to see how much I like it as a sort of contour brush, not just the eye shading and socketing brush, which was what I was using it for before. But now I'm just going to use it all over my face. And then I should have a video for the Shakuda up soon. I think I'm pretty done playing with those brushes, and I can give a definite opinion on them. And I don't have all the brushes either. They have a lot. I just went for the ones that are either pure squirrel or something like that. Yeah, most of them are pure squirrel, the ones that I got. I'm not going to do terribly much. Okay, chisel that out. And you might have seen it in the title card, or maybe not, but I'm going to be using this Haku Ototsuho eye brush for eyeshadow. So this one is this round brush. It's a little bit on the loose side, so you can see that little bit of a gap between the hair and the ferrule, but it blends pretty darn well because it is pretty strong. So great eye brush. And if your everyday makeup is relatively simple like mine is, it's definitely a good brush to have. I'm using it with a Sukyu one of the touch tone eyeshadows. This is 15. To me, it looks purple, like a grayish oyster purple, but when I was looking at swatches of it, it turns out it's supposed to be like turquoise something. I don't know, maybe they changed the formula, or maybe I'm just colorblind. So I'm using it pretty close to the lash line right now to concentrate the color. And then because it's a sparkly formula, I'm kind of just redistributing and removing the excess. Just darkening it up just a tiny bit more. This has been my go-to eyeshadow for the past week. Not that I've worn makeup that much in the past week, but when I do, I just reach for it because it's so darn easy. And then, so I'm wiping the brush off as much as I can, and then just going above the crease line to create a little bit of a fade. No transition color today, so I'm going to rely on the eyeshadow dimensionality itself to create depth. Well, I guess I kind of already did the transition color when I contoured my eyes, so already cheated. Okay, so there's that, and I didn't bring mascara. Oh well, I'll just apply that off camera later, whatever. And then this is the Sonia G Flat Definer. So this is from the Keyaki set. Normally it's in a dyed, normally outside the Keyaki set, it's in a dyed Sokoho goat hair. In this one, it is a undyed goat hair. So you could use it for cream liner, pencil liner, lip, because normally you're not supposed to use dyed goat with cream or liquid products. But I'm just going to be using it with a powder today. But I have used this as a lip brush. It's pretty good, but I still prefer my more square-tipped brushes for lining my lips and lining and filling them out, rather. So, but this one's great for lining the eyes. So I start on the outer corner and kind of draw it across. It's not a super precise line, but if you like to sort of soften your liquid liner or pencil liner with a little bit of eyeshadow, this is a fantastic brush for it. Sort of just lining my lash line a little bit, so if I back up a bit, you can see the huge difference it makes in my eyes. Okay, I'm going to pick a little bit more up. And then I'm using this sort of like dark purple color with blue reflex. Goes with the Sukyu 15 really well. This eye I line a little differently because the shape is a little bit different, so I go a little bit higher so it matches my right eye better. It'd be nice if they were perfectly symmetrical, but they're not, so I compensate. More and done. And I'll just finish off with mascara off screen. Actually, I do want to get a little bit of highlight on here because I did grab it, so I might as well. So sparkly pink highlight. And this is a trick that goes for any brush. So if you need a highlight brush, you don't have one, just take the one you have, even if it's a fat brush, squeeze it between your fingers like this. You get a fan brush, and then swipe it on. Gonna go a little bit down the nose as well. And then let it fluff up and then dust the rest on my forehead. Okay, that's pretty much done. Very short video. I will be back later this afternoon in a couple hours to talk about white Canadian squirrel. Like, this is pretty much the only white Canadian or Canadian squirrel face brush period I've kept. My blush brush right now is on loan to a friend because they want to play with it and decide if they want to buy the new current release. And I thought it'd be timely to just talk about white Canadian squirrel in general. I believe the new one is being offered through CD Japan. It's either Koyudo or Kohitsu, same thing really. But I'll be talking about white Canadian squirrels and the properties of it later in the afternoon. It's also going to be a pretty short video because I only have this one brush. I can talk about in general how it differs from regular Canadian squirrel. So keep a lookout for that later on. And I'll just answer the questions and then hop off and see you guys later. Let's see. Fox hair brushes. Yeah, I've actually been really enjoying the fox hair brushes more than I thought I would. At first I thought it was like, oh, this is the hair they find because they're running out of goat hair, but I'm actually really impressed with it. I would say it's closer to goat than it is to squirrel, but so far, yeah, I am interested in getting the rest of the series now. I originally only got 2 brushes. Aw, thank you. I don't really have any friends who are as crazy into makeup and brushes as me, so it's really nice to talk with you guys too. Thank you. It's a sweater by it's supposed to be one of those like skiing brand sweaters, but I just like it because I like lace and stuff. I do have a video on this on my Instagram somewhere going back a couple years where I use it to apply bronzer. But overall, this size is the small powder brush, so there's like a medium size and a larger size. I find that because like Canadian squirrel, if you've read Sonia G Sweet Makeup Temptations post on it, because white squirrel fluffs up more than regular Canadian squirrel, this one is more changeable in shape. So if you drive a brush guard, it's smaller and almost more suitable for a blush brush. But this is how it washes and dries without a brush guard, and it's a pretty good face brush as well as like a small cheek brush. So as far as Canadian squirrel goes, I really like this one, so I won't be getting rid of it in my D-stash as much as people are hoping I would. Okay, just gonna clean up here, see if a couple more questions roll in, and then take my leave. I've been really lazy about doing makeup lately. A part of it is because I've been breaking out really badly. This is probably one of the better days. I don't have dry flakes everywhere from, when pimples heal. That's the worst. And of course, lazy being, I just grabbed the Clarisonic. I don't know why, it's just so easy. It's really, really a shame that it was discontinued. It takes a little bit longer than using, like, say, my Fupa one or the Hokoto BZ one, but the pros to it is I don't really even have to look in the mirror. As long as I touch over my face, I know it's going to be blended. So it's something I just thought about right now. The silver fox is kind of like the inverse of white Canadian squirrel. But like I said, fox is closer to goat than it is to squirrel. The one thing about fox, well, for one, fox can be used with cream products. The one thing about fox is it kind of has a tendency. You see how it kind of, after I brush it over, it kind of like stays to the side like that? Like that's a very squirrel property. But as far as like the feeling goes, it's a bit more firm. So it's either like a very firmly packed squirrel brush or it's like the equivalent of a goat brush with the same packing level. But I'll probably be getting the rest of the series within the next couple months and then doing a review on it. Right now I have so many series that I'm planning to do. I am still planning to do the Hakuhodo, like go to their showroom and show you all the brushes in the line. I'll probably start with the Kokotan and the B series, and then over in the next couple weeks, month, who knows how long, show the rest of the series. So I'll probably be doing that tentatively next Friday. So I will announce on my Instagram what time I'm going to be filming that at. It's going to be PST, so sorry for those of you who are not able to join in. But as always, I'm super responsive in the comments. So if you have any questions at all, just shoot them to me or through email if you don't feel like putting your name and questions out there. Let's see. Do you have any recommendations for larger under eye concealer brush? Yes, I do. Oh, jeez. Don't fall over. Bear with me. This is one of my favorite larger under eye concealers brush. It's not a Fude, but it's pretty darn good. This is the Bare Minerals. Come on, are you going to focus? Any day now. Anyways, it's the Bare Minerals Blurring Buffer. So you can see, I consider this on the larger size. If it's bigger than my thumb, it's a larger size. So this one is really pretty full coverage. So if you're looking for a more flexible one, this brush is actually pretty good for under eye concealer, as well as the Sonia G eye brushes, Worker 1 or Worker 2, the undyed one. But that one's more of a medium-sized brush. But as far as a large concealer brush goes, this one works really well. As far as other concealer brushes go, let's see. Again, not Fude, but this is the Hourglass number 2 brush. This is technically, they call it a blush / foundation brush, but I use it mostly for either blush or if I need to do some area coverage, if I have a big patch of something here, I kind of tap this in, and then it really blends out concealer beautifully. This was an extra large concealer brush, but it will do your under eye area very nicely. This one's more sheer coverage. And then if you like very, very sheer coverage, this is the Hakuhodo, let me think, J4002. This is dual fiber, so this one will be very airy. It's suitable for both concealer, more for liquid concealer than cream concealer. So I use the Kevin Aquan Essential Skin Enhancer. This stuff is super thick. I can go like that all day, it won't fall out. Not so great for this stuff, much better for liquid and for setting powder on the under eye concealer. This is the Real Techniques setting brush. Works great for airbrushing on concealer as well. So the first option, the Bare Minerals Blurring Buffer, is going to be your nuclear full coverage option. And then this is going to be your super light option, the J4002. And the Real Techniques setting brush is going to be your sort of in-between medium. And, of course, Kolinsky is a really, really great concealer brush. This one will put it on pretty strongly. This is pretty much almost full coverage. But this is also a really special brush. So Not expecting you to get that, but if you were itching to get it and there was a reason you wanted to, there's another one. You can use it for both eyes and concealer. I buy my fox hair brushes from CD Japan simply because I've been using them for so long. I believe Fude Beauty offers them too. I'm not sure if they're on Beautylish yet, but I'm sure they'll make their way there eventually because they are a permanent line. But so far, CD Japan, because of their reward system, and they've been offering 10% discount coupons pretty regularly. So that's when I got mine. Surratt complexion brush, pine squirrel. I have the Surratt pointed, I think it's the concealer one. And then I think I have the Surratt large Canadian squirrel and the medium Canadian squirrel. But I think those are eye brushes, so I'm not sure which concealer brush you're talking about. I'll have to take a look at their lineup again. Okay. Yeah, the Hourglass one is a bit pricey for a synthetic brush, but the Hourglass line was one of the first like high-end synthetic brushes, like completely synthetic brush lines available. So they've been around a long time. Temptalia's really fond of the number 2. I'm less fond of it for foundation, but it's great for blush. More tapered, fluffy style that can fit in the corner. Yeah, the Real Techniques one is a tapered, fluffy one. Let's see. Pretty tapered, pretty fluffy. The reason why it's sort of like this like fleshy color right now is because I use it for contour. So it kind of fits pretty darn well. And then, of course, here. And of course, if it can fit in my nose, it can fit under the eye. So you'll probably like the Real Techniques one. Great price and, well, just overall good brush. Let's see. Okay, Surratt is out of your price range for now. Yeah, I remember they were running a pretty good sale back in the holidays, but I'm not sure what the status of that is anymore. And I think that covers all the questions. So I'll see you guys later to talk about White Canadian Squirrel. So, bye. It's lunchtime.